Turn it up, it's the pancake and power slam. Turn it up, it's the pancake and power slam. Turn it up, it's the pancake and power slam show. Turn it up, it's the pancake and power slam. Turn it up, it's the pancake and power slam. Turn it up, it's the pancake and power slam show. Turn it up.
What is up, everybody? This is Dr. Chris Featherstone here for yet another episode of the Pancakes and Power Slams show. All right, let's bring this one. Let's bring this. We haven't heard this one in a while. Let's bring this one up here. How y'all doing, fam? PNP fam, how's life, man? How y'all feeling? How y'all doing? And yeah, man, let's get right into it. Come on in. I know what time it is. Come on in. Let's see those numbers continue to fill up. We are here live in living color. Getting funky like a monkey everywhere. Funky like a monkey everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. Come on in, y'all. Come on in. We got lots to talk about today. We're going to have a class tonight on the psychology of boredom. Why do people get bored? Why do people get bored, period? And why do people get bored when it comes to these wrestling matches? We're getting CM Punk versus Jey Uso. Once again, we just had the match for the number one contendership, but we're having it again at Saturday Night's main event. So that did not bode well. That did not sit well with the fan base, and they didn't like it, and it wasn't. People didn't approve of it. So we are going to see what is going on, and we're going to study that. The psychology behind when people get bored about stuff. It's always a fun psychological concept, really behind not only pro wrestling stuff, but as you know, with this show, I take a pro wrestling concept, I pull it up real quick, and that turns into. I take the concept and I pull it into a psychology class. Now, people were talking about boredom. I said, let's talk about boredom. Let me bring some psychological concepts when it comes to boredom, as far as like state versus traits and the hedonic treadmill or hedonic adaptation. We'll talk about all that tonight. And of course, go ahead and pull out your coffee, take a few sips. I'm done with mine, but get your ice water, get your coffee, all those fun things, and let's have some fun as always on the Pancakes and Power Slam show. Get your notebook ready, get your tablet ready, get your laptop ready, whatever you need to do, because the fun thing, the one thing I like about the Pancakes and Power Slam so much is that you can take these concepts that I talk about in my class, and you can really apply them. You can really apply them to everyday life when it comes to just different concepts about living in life. And now you'll understand after this class, why do people get bored? And how can I look internally and say, what is causing me to be bored, and how can I get out of a constant state of boredom? What's causing me to have this constant state of boredom that's unhealthy? So we're going to have a lot of fun as we do each and every single week. And so without further ado, class is in session. Indeed. All right. A 2016 study showed that 63% of us suffer from boredom at least once within a 10-day period. So boredom was also shown to be commonly associated with negative emotions and closely associated with loneliness, anger, sadness, and worry, among many other feelings or emotions. Depression and anxiety is two of them as well. There's been studies to show correlations between the two. I'll break that down a little bit more when it comes to boredom. So the term boredom can be defined as, or widely viewed as, the aversive experience of wanting but being unable to engage in satisfactory activity. So that's what boredom psychologically is widely viewed as, or widely termed as, the aversive experience of wanting but being unable to engage in satisfying activity. So two of the most popular kinds of boredom are trait boredom and state boredom. So state boredom is simply just temporary boredom when it comes to certain situations, such as having nothing to do in an uninspiring situation, or when performing the same task over and over again. That leads to boredom as well. That's called state boredom. So it's more temporary stuff. If you continue to have a monotonous type of unstimulating thing to do, if you continue to do something routine and it's just not really giving a sense of stimulation, or if you are watching something too, just an act of just this repetitiveness without being stimulated, that causes a sense of state boredom. However, once that frequency of state boredom is intensified, it leads to what's called trait boredom, or also boredom proneness. And this frequency of this state, this state boredom, which again is the temporary boredom, the frequency of that results into a chronic lack of agency. And so basically, boredom doesn't necessarily have to have, when it comes from a state perspective, just a temporary perspective, it's not automatically correlated to negative or to really negative affects or really negative emotions after overall. But when it comes to more of a trait perspective, trait boredom does usually correlate to more negative situations. Now, state boredom can correlate similar to trait boredom to attention problems. And so when it comes to that, these attention problems, they're associated with difficulties in self reactiveness, which is regulating the execution of goals or plans, as well as a strong need to maximize pleasure. So in this case, individuals who have a strong need to seek rewards may find few sufficiently rewarding options to motivate actions. And so when you have this need and when you have this attention span where a lot of this boredom comes from, you have to understand, like, what is the source of this boredom? Why am I bored? Why am I getting to a place where I'm not being stimulated, or I want to engage in satisfying activity, but I feel like I'm not able to, which is, what boredom is defined as widely. It's because oftentimes people's attention spans are short, and just even statistically, the average attention span has lessened about 4 to 7 seconds over the past, generation. And so it's actually pretty bad. The attention span, it's sad that the attention span is actually getting worse by, average of about 4 to 7 seconds. It's gotten worse. And so that's pretty bad, man, when it comes to attention spans. And just think about that from an average attention span perspective, on top of wanting to be satisfied, engage in satisfying activity. So that basically is handing someone just a case of boredom. And so it's a really serious thing. It can be a really serious thing when it comes to boredom. And if you continue to experience these moments of boredom and not being able to engage in satisfying or motivating action, again, the chronic part of that, or the chronic state of that, can really lead to some really negative emotional feelings or emotional effects. So despite positively reacting to an event, humans psychologically go through or experience a process called hedonic adaptation, or it's also known as the hedonic treadmill. So this is a very interesting concept when it comes to the hedonic treadmill. So what happens with the hedonic treadmill is one experiences a life event, and then this person, after it could be a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, but typically a short amount of time, after experiencing this event, this person goes back to their baseline level of satisfaction or pleasure, or they go to their baseline level of contentment. And so if someone has a baseline, or everybody has a baseline, and when it comes a certain baseline, the person are able to return to this level following an experience. And so the big issue when it comes from a standpoint of therapy and just overall emotional mental health is, what is your baseline level of satisfaction or dissatisfaction? Just what is your baseline level? And it's important for you the student who's listening to this is to self-reflect and self-examine and say, what is my baseline level of a feeling, just across the board? When something happens, when a life event happens, I'm going to react to it whether positively or negatively. And then where do I go back to? That's where the hedonic treadmill is. It goes back to you experience something high or low, and then you get back into this treadmill. And what level is the treadmill at? Is it very low as far as just continue to go back into that normal type of rhythm of feeling? Is it low? Is it a low state? Is it stress? Is it anxiety? Is it depression? And when you start to experience like positive things and your hedonic treadmill is low, you're going to get information like you bought a car, or you're going to get a promotion, or you're going to get accepted to a college. But if you're not really working on your personal mental health, you're going to hear that information, and then you're going to be prone to go back into a negative state. And that's the point of the hedonic treadmill. We're all prone and privy to experience this hedonic treadmill. And so you have to, once again, really focus on, where am I at? What's my level of contentment? What's my level of discontentment? And when someone is experiencing a level of contentment, the positive aspect of hedonic treadmill is, if someone's on a high level of contentment, once they experience a situation like they got demoted from a job, or when you lost a job, or when you found out some bad news, or when you think about those things, or when you experience those types of life events, where are you? Where's your hedonic treadmill? Where's the baseline of where you go? If it's high, you'll get that information, and in the moment you react. And that's the cool thing about really expressing the spectrum of your feelings and emotions. In the moment you'll react, but then what's your baseline? So for instance, it's not really healthy to just say and just pretend that you are apathetic toward it, or pretend that you're big and tough toward it. Feel it in the moment. Just kind of sit and dwell on it. Just kind of sit and rest in it for a second. Just kind of sit in it for a second. Don't ignore it, but just sit in it for a second and say, hey, for instance, I lost my job. Man, yeah, that really sucks, man, because I was really expecting such and such an A and B and C and D. Yeah, that was very unexpected, man. I'm really I'm really saddened by that. I'm really disappointed and a bit disheveled about that, to be honest with you. But all right, well, I mean, onward and upward. I gotta move forward. I gotta make some calls, and I gotta be sure that I get some things in line so everything can continue to flow on a steady pace without any gaps. And so that actually is a positive example of the hedonic treadmill. But oftentimes, though, there's the negative aspect of the hedonic treadmill, and that's when someone it has a sense of joy for a moment, and then that joy quickly diminishes because that person is in a discontent, dissatisfied, miserable, sorrowful, sad state of mind, and they're just unhappy. And so when they experience positive things, they can experience in the moment, but then it goes right back down to their low level of the hedonic treadmill. And what happens when it comes to these particular situations is the person has a low level of hedonic treadmill. And then when they get to a point of, man, okay, I experienced this really positive thing, or this caused me to have a rush, and then I'm discontent. And that's the reason why a lot of times people who are in a negative state of discontentment, their hedonic treadmill is low and they're continuing to experience a sense of emptiness and unfulfillment and a sense of longing and even this addictive behavior of continuing to want that feeling again. So they're looking for that rush constantly over and over when it comes to having a low level of a hedonic treadmill. So when it comes to like novelty things, just across the board, it's important for mental stimulation. When you experience new and novelty, there's been many studies that show just new. There's even studies to show that try going to a new route or try doing something different or something new, and not getting to a point of always depending on doing something new, because then what you do is you make the treadmill the routine of continue to do something new. So just on a Thursday, if you are used to going this way, and a couple times a month, just try a new route, try a new exit. If it's the same type of time, or just kind of carve out some time from your day and maybe go 10-15 minutes early and catch a new coffee spot on the way to work. Stuff like that. Those novelty things, those are really good mental stimulators. But you also, once again, have to be sure to work on increasing your hedonic treadmill level, your hedonic adaptation to making it high. Because if you don't, and we see this when it comes to pro wrestling fans, we see this when it comes to IWC, their hedonic treadmill level, very, very low. So as a result, you're longing for this constant thing over and over and over and over again. And your stimulation level is it's your arousal level so high that your contentment level is so low. You're always wanting to be stimulated and aroused, always. And your contentment level is low. You're discontent. So therefore you want this new stimulation to go over and over and over and over again. So there's a sense of there's a neutral sense of boredom of, okay, yeah, this is happening over and over again. It's not novel, therefore it's not stimulating. So that's the reason why people get bored from, a neutral / not necessarily staggering or unhealthy standpoint. Again, but the chronic version of that is that someone who experienced chronic or trait boredom, they start to get into those negative affects. And on top of that, what makes it worse is if someone has a baseline on their hedonic treadmill that is low, therefore they're going to continue to look for something new. And that's what we're getting oftentimes. And not even new, but still stimulating. I want to continue to be stimulated. I want to, even if it's not necessarily novel, it's stimulated. I want to be stimulated. And if you continue to have matches such as like CM Punk versus Jey Uso over and over again, you're going to, it's the worst of both worlds. You don't have the new, you don't necessarily have the new novelty part of being stimulated and promoting that novelty. You don't have that, so that's going to cause boredom. But you also don't have that routine that you're looking for to, as far as just that new stimulation, the continued, stimulation. That's the reason why matches are easy to stimulate current wrestling fans. It doesn't necessarily have to be novel, but it is stimulating. And so when someone has a low baseline, they're looking for those high arousal levels. And so they're going to continue to have these really 5-star, hardcore moments, extreme moments, flips and kicks and false finishes of finisher moves. All that is causing high levels of arousal. And you're going to continue to want those high levels of arousal because your baseline is low. Now, if your baseline's high, you don't need that. You can get into a story, a really good story. You have the patience to read the book without going to the last chapter. You have the patience to look at the movie without fast forwarding it. You have the patience to sit through this storyline of pro wrestling, a good riveting storyline, without wanting a match or two or three of what we get right now. So it's when it comes to a rematch of Jey Uso versus CM Punk, it's universally rejected in both the novelty piece of Boredom, and it's also rejected from the arousal or the stimulation version of arousal. So both state and trait are being negatively impacted. So that's basically, Boredom when it comes to the concept and the psychology behind it. And in order to really work on this boredom, like I said, create your own novelties. There's not really much when it comes to this match, when it comes to like certain novelties or creating your own novelties, but take it away from just pro wrestling. Now, the pro wrestling fan who's continuing to want the match, and then just big moments. This is also moments in a match. That person needs to really focus on himself or herself as like, okay, why are my arousal levels when it comes to pro wrestling feel so insatiable? Let me focus and let me internalize this and get to a point where I'm sitting in this myself and saying, man, I need to work on my patience of sitting through a thing. I need to work on my patience of not being in this culture that's so click, a clip culture and just microwave mentality. Let me sit back and just be patient with things, and let me work on building a muscle of having a pretty high hedonic treadmill. Let me increase my hedonic treadmill level by saying my baseline is going to be contentment. My baseline is going to be joy. My baseline is going to be happiness. My baseline is going to be gratitude. And so when negative things happen in your life, you'll go back to that hedonic treadmill, and you'll be able to really stand firm in the wind of hearing, negative things about you that are just unsubstantiated or untrue, haters, negative events that happen in your life. You'll be able to withstand that. So it's really a continued effort and continued work within yourself to raise that level of your hedonic adaptation. And when you do that, not only does boredom not seem so significantly opposing, or not only does boredom seem so just negative and so magnanimous when it comes to trying to wrestle through the boredom, but a boredom is just an opportunity to find something novel to do. Like, for instance, if I'm at an airport, for instance, and I can't get Wi-Fi yet, or I can't look at, like I was on a cruise, for instance, last week, and I knew ahead of time that I was going to not get Wi-Fi or not really get good Wi-Fi. and I download some videos, and I have some things to read, and I have some apps like Dominoes and stuff like that I was playing, just to say, you know what, I'm gonna stimulate myself to not have to worry about, oh, I can't get internet, so therefore I'm just going to sit in this and dwell about it. No, you're going to find stuff to do. You're going to create your own novelties. You're going to create your own positive scenarios and be able to adapt that way from a positive standpoint, and really, turn lemon into lemonade, so to speak. Make something positive out of it, instead of just making that treadmill and that adaptation low and finding and just kind of dwelling in that negativity and that discontentment, and continuing to find or long for that that arousal, that stimulation, because there's a sense of emptiness in oneself. And so that's the important part of just really working on yourself when it comes to boredom. Boredom is such a huge, it's way bigger emotionally and psychologically than people spend time thinking about. They just experience it. And so that's why a lot of studies, you just experience the boredom. And for a while in the social sciences field, it just was just an experience. You just experienced boredom. And there wasn't a lot of connection to it, but there's been a lot of studies recently over the past probably 15 to 20 years that shows that, man, there's a lot bigger attachment to boredom that needs to be studied and investigated. There was even a study I think it was in 2016. I think it was a study. The study in 2016 was about the stuff for the boredom, but there was another study that talked about people who either had to sit in their thoughts for between 6 to 15 minutes, even if the thoughts were pleasurable, or experience electric shock. So there was a survey of like, would you rather sit in your thoughts between 6 and 15 minutes or experience electric shock? And there was a surprising amount of a percentage of people who would rather experience electric shock than to sit with their thoughts for up to 15 minutes. Now, that just goes to show where we are as a society, that we're so distracted by stuff that, one, we got so much that we're thinking about in our minds that we just can't even sit in it because we're just petrified of what that looks like to sit in our thoughts. Or we're so attention shorted, we're so attention insufficient that we just continue to experience high levels of attention seeking. And that is very unhealthy as well. You got to get to a point, man, especially when it comes to improving mental health. You got to sit in those thoughts, man. That's the reason why I love being a therapist, because every day I work with people to sit in their thoughts, to process their thoughts, and to realize, man, there's a lot caked up in there that's causing a lot of emotional blockage for me to be able to process things well. And you got to get to the point where you're sitting your thoughts and being able to process that. But you can't do that if you continue to look for unhealthy levels of stimulation. Sit in it. Be content, be joyful, and be able to have fun, enjoy, experience joy and pleasure and things like that. But at the same time, have that baseline of, am I content? And if something negative happens in my life, where's the hedonic treadmill at? Is it here? And I'm already thinking in my head that, I'm miserable, I'm sorrowful, or is it here of, hey man, onward and upward? I'm definitely going to sit in that for a moment and feel it, and maybe even pray about it or share with someone else. But I'm going to move forward. I'm going to take the steps to keep going. without ignoring the fact that it happened, because that's not healthy either. But take it, sit in it, process it, and then keep it moving, and not be at a low level hedonic treadmill as far as how you process it. All right. Hope that helps, students. Go ahead and apply that in your life when it comes to internal assessment, so intrapersonal communication, and also interpersonal communication. That is class for today. Real quick, before we get into the questions, I want to look at. I only saw a few, so most of this is just live and uncut when it comes to this. I don't do profanity. I don't speak profanity. I don't endorse profanity. So you might get a little bit of this on here. I imagine you will, but I was like, you know what? A part of my lesson today. This is the extra credit stand in the classroom after the scheduled time to sit here and get some extra credit as far as just a bonus here. I did want to show this when it came to the announcement that they put on Twitter, and get some live reactions. I got some messages too, and I promoted people to come over and share their thoughts. And it looks like there's a lot of really good thoughts already on the chat that we're going to talk about. All right, so here we go. Let's do that. No, let's do. I already had a. There we go. Let's do that, and let's do that, and let's do that. Bingo. All right, there we go. All right. CM Punk versus Jey Uso, World Heavyweight Championship match, Saturday night's main event. Who will be the next World Heavyweight Champion? What does the fans think about this? Of course, you got the video. I'm definitely not going to play that because WWE is very prone to block. Should have been Dom. It's a comment. Triple H for Jey Uso, and here's this meme here. We also got these two competitors will face off for the World Heavyweight Championship. It's even bigger. The future versus the past. The main event, the best in the world. I'm not even going to go into that one. They got two. That was a positive one, though. I'm sure it got some backlash, though. The only way this overplayed snooze fest has any I think you would say watchability, is if the entirety of the Battle Royal lineup interferes and make this match a no contest leading into War Games. Keep the belt vacant. That would be interesting. I wonder how that would be able to integrate into a War Games match. That would be interesting. Predictions. Jey Uso joining the Vision with this meme. That would be a bad call, I think. Someone says, this match feels perfectly timed. Jay's momentum is unmatched. Punk's psychology untouched. Their contrast makes for pure storytelling. Heart versus mind. Rhythm versus rebellion. The crowd won't just watch. They'll feel every second of it. I imagine this didn't go well. Let's see here. You should book yourself to watch this crap of a match. Are you the AI that helps WWE with the creative? This must be rage bait. As I expected, this didn't go well. Solo, Jeff. Yeah, this comment isn't good. You're a bot. You being serious? Laughing gif or gif? Yeah, as expected, this didn't go well. And of course, you got some spam stuff too. All right, let's go through a few more before I get into the hashtag ask doc questions and y'all's thoughts on this too. This is all under the under the WWE comment section here of their announcement of this. Jan, I think if Jey wins, we get more 20-minute dances every Monday. If Punk wins, is completely underwhelming. The obvious outcome. This might get good if Braun's interference and then give themselves a breaker in the mix. The best outcome remains vacant due to DQ. That would just be very, very anticlimactic if it was a DQ and the Braun's and got involved. I imagine there's going to be some involvement with the Braun's somehow, some way, but man, you gotta make one of them a champion. Although there would be some interest. There would be some interest if the Braun's. I think you can make something out of it that could be semi-interesting. If the Braun's both come and attack Punk and Jey, and that leads to that leads to Punk and Jey tag teaming up and being on the same War Games team. You know, it's like that's the issue too, man. Survivor Series is a month away, and in a month's time, you're gonna have to throw something together that makes sense as far as storyline. That's pretty bad, man. If something's going to have a War Games feel to it, it has to be a culmination of something. It has to feel like these 10 people have been feuding in some capacity, whether separate, together, and banding together, something to that nature. There's been some intensity, like War Game, those types of stipulation matches. It needs to get to a point where the intensity is so high that we have to put it in this cage, because otherwise it would just explode afterwards. This is to diffuse and detonate at the same time. And so, like, that's the thing, man. It's like you got to have that type of detonation, so to speak, when it comes to War Games, and that's the cage feel to cause it to detonate and eventually diffuse. But it's like, if there's no long story or there's no story that we can get into that's been going on for a while. I mean, I saw on the socials there's a face-off between the Wyatt Six and the MFTs. I mean, that leads to a War Game match. There's a story behind that. Y'all let me know. Is there a story behind MFTs against Wyatt Six, or do they feel because it's such a hopscotch type of booking that they have to do, that you just do a face-off, pop the crowd, and then sure, yeah, we'll make that War Games. Man, it's getting really, really microwave when it comes to these creative ideas, that it's getting pretty bad, man. And other comments, who asked for this, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I mean, that's basically the what we're dealing with right now when it comes to the match. Not healthy. There's a lot of other negative comments on this too when it comes to dealing with this. Grinch GIF, just as far as when it comes to yeet, we had that. Just some people were saying this is going to be a Seth ruse, which is, I've talked about that before. Could be, but someone said Jey again in a uh, a very distraught dog, crying dog. So, yeah, I mean that's that, man. That's what we're dealing with when it comes to the Jey Uso versus CM Punk. We're seeing that all over again, man. So, unfortunately, again, that's what happens when people get bored, and that's what happens when you have something that is repetitive, but at the same time no longer stimulating. That's what you get when you get to people being bored, and how do you react to that? Oftentimes, very negative based on the trait boredom characteristics. All right, let's get into these questions, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do this. All right. Danimal's in the building. What's up, Danimal? Happy Tuesday / Wednesday. Exactly. Happy Tuesday / Wednesday. Just talking Raw from beginning of this year. From then to now, what will be remembered 10 years from now? To me, this is what shows you if it's a good show. I mean, yeah, I've talked about that several times before in other shows. I've said the same exact thing. Like, what are the defining moments of this era? I've had the same conversation on other shows. What's the defining moment? Like, we can remember the boyhood dream come true. We can remember Austin 316. We can remember the Zamboni, segment on Raw. We can remember the DX invasion. We can remember Brock Lesnar's debut and what it had. Brock beating The Rock subsequently, just a few months later. We can remember, just the meteoric rise of Kurt Angle. We can remember all of those things, man. We can remember King Booker and how that meant. We can remember just the volcanic reaction and time of Batista. We can remember, when it comes to Super Cena, when it comes to, Cena Michaels at WrestleMania. That match was phenomenal. And just that DX, we can remember that, and just the Chin Man when Sergeant Slaughter was commissioner at the time. All those things, man, we can remember so many things when it comes to so many different eras. But outside of the Bloodline angle that really didn't have a really solid culmination, like the Bloodline angle was the culmination of Jey versus Roman at SummerSlam-ish, because it kind of went after that. And now there's like a NWO black and white NWO style version of the Bloodline, while the Bloodline's like the Wolf Pack, and the NWO black and white is the MFTs basically. And it's just like, you're just dragging this thing on, man, and you're bringing other people like Tala Tonga and JC Mateo, and you're just bringing, it just feels like a NWO style concept, man. You're just kind of throwing a bunch of people in there that does nothing. And I was a huge fan of Cobb, Jeff Cobb's work. I've always put Jeff Cobb over. Was a big fan of his work in New Japan, even bigger fan of his work in Lucha Underground. I think he was phenomenal. He was in a mask and had the onesie, the one piece, the suit, the jumpsuit, and really good work. As Cobb, always wished that he would be the premier babyface at one time, in his New Japan career. They never really gave him that opportunity, but I always thought he was phenomenal in the ring, man. Just super agile. I don't think at all he's exposed. He's being given that spot. He just feels like a kind of peon in the sense to Solo not having that opportunity. And then Tala Tonga, he was in the Bullet Club. he's tall and he's tall. I mean, like even the Gorillas of Destiny, they had a decent ish tag team initial, but they were never really booked to be super dominant. And so it's just like they're already like going down several notches, and you're not creating these eras, these moments, man. I mean, dude, I can't. I mean, even like Summer Punk, that was a moment. The pipe bomb was a moment. Like you had so many moments, 15 years ago, but it's really hard to bring out to think about certain moments when it comes to this era. I mean, there's a handful, but it's definitely not comparable to eras of before. And that's the unfortunate part, man. For the sake of the almighty dollar, man, do you dilute your product so much that you're just missing an entire era of big moments that came with storylines and big moments that came out of this? This era is just basically being muted because of the lack of really sinking our teeth in creatively from a storyline perspective. You got to think about that stuff, man, for sure. Halloween Havoc predictions on After Party, sure thing. Of course, like I said, I'll run through initial ones. If I have time, I'll go through other ones. But if you want to keep talking, hop over to the Patreon, man. Support your boy. Awesome sauce. What's up? At the end of the day, once the match happens, fans are just going to post this match cooked. That's so true. And a bunch of this is awesome chants. Why? Because they're Pavlovian dogs. 100%. Everything that you just said was spot on. And that's the thing, man. This match cooked. It cooked. I'm like, get your Gen Z behind and shut up and sit down somewhere, man. That is just the most annoying. Like, cooked, if it cooked if used funnily, it's cool. I actually like it a lot, man. Like, I have 3 kids, and like my 2 oldest are boys, and that's the thing. That's the Gen Z thing. Like, telling someone, like, if someone's like in the flow, like, you cooking, I'm cool with that. Or if someone is just like busted, like, you're cooked. Like, I think that's hilarious too. But the overusage of cooked, to me, is the demise of Gen Z, Gen Alpha. It's just it's over, especially from a social media perspective. From a social media perspective, this whole this cooked. I'm like, oh man, spare me the cookage. Spare me something cooked. It's a cool term. Don't diminish this cool term by defining it to something that's not true. You're lowering the standards of the cool term cooked, just like you're lowering the standards of all things professional wrestling. James, I'm really going to miss you and Vince. Who am I going to watch now? Every other review show is going to praise the shows. Also, what are your thoughts on Jericho having a retirement tour in WWE? So here's a couple things when it comes to that. As far as the review show, of course, major thank you to that, and greatly appreciate your support, man. Vince and we actually did some talking. Show I'm going to share or um, talk about stuff like that. Talk about the Patreon as far as just kind of like fourth wall stuff, as far as what's brewing and what's what's cooking. So that'll be saved. But regarding Jericho having a retirement tour, I mean, again, we're already starting to oversaturate. Here's the thing. It's not only just a wrestling thing, man. It's a societal issue. Oversaturation because of lack of attention span, and it just leads to really unhealthy levels of oversaturation. It's really bad, man. It's really bad how much this oversaturation is such a big thing. It's pretty bad. I think that Jericho having a retirement tour would make sense if Jericho I'm saying this, and people know I've said this before. Jericho's in my all-time top 5. But one thing I couldn't stand about Jericho's tenure in WWE was his win-loss record was atrocious. And having a retirement tour, his presence in the pro wrestling industry right now is not going to change the fact that he continued to have those win-loss records that aren't very impressive in the WWE, man. It's just not. It just wasn't very impressive. So, I mean, does he come back and does he go on some type of impressive winning streak? I doubt it. So a retirement tour wouldn't mean anything. What's up, Rollin? Good interview with the late Harley Race's son. I was just about to ask you guys a question, but I got distracted. What was the last? Was that the last unscripted show? No, we have one more unscripted show next Tuesday. And next Tuesday is the final live show on WrestleBinge, actually. That will be the final live show on WrestleBinge. Stay tuned because we've got some more writing with Russo's, though, so that's the good news. But, of course, writing with Russo's are taped. So you will see those spread out through, I don't know, next few weeks maybe. I'm not quite sure when they're going to officially shut down the WrestleBinge channel. I know that they are going to, I don't know if they're going to move that over to Sportskeeda channel but what I was told, the WrestleBinge channel is being shut down. So the last live shows next week with Bill and I, and the last Legion of Raw, of course, was this past Monday, as of this show a couple days ago. Yosef. Man, there's some good Yosef questions too. Let's go this one. It seems IWC have no life. Wrestling is their only purpose. Why is that? Because no God in their life, but some Christians obsessed with wrestling. I mean, I've talked about in the show why are wrestling fans depressed. I've talked about on their show why do men watch pro wrestling, and so many different. I talked about the Faustin bargaining, Lucifer effect, all that. A very rich catalog of when it comes to answering those types of questions. So be sure to check that out, man. It's a Christian obsessed with I would even say an adult obsessed with pro wrestling is something that is causing that would cause extensive investigation and case study and intervention. I'll say that. Zubair, while I was working, I listened to video recommended Haterverse WWE Superfans feature Maven. All I want to say is Superfans for such marks. Would you check it out and do a video reacting? Sure. Yeah. Send it over to me. Yeah, I like doing stuff like that. Elvis, what is your favorite Halloween candy? How's Evan been doing? Evan's been doing solid, man. He's we talk a lot. Still my guy, man. Still one of my closest friends, and it's like a brother to me. He's super supportive. He checks on me all the time, and the fam asks how I'm doing, how my back is doing, all that fun stuff, man. So, yeah. As far as Halloween candy, I never really got into Halloween candy much, man. I just definitely can't do the candy corn. That's a mess. I don't know. I mean, when I was a kid, I would like chocolate Reese cups when I would, trick or treat and all that jazz. What's up, Manny? Not a question, but I just wanted to say I enjoy watching these psychology perspectives on wrestling. Keep up the awesome work, Doc. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Notorious 2019. Who do you got winning the World Heavyweight Championship between Jey Uso and CM Punk and Saturday Night's main events? Punk. Yeah, Punk. That's my take. All right, y'all. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Axe Doc is the way to go for sure. Axe Doc is the way to go. Is the way to go. Come on in. I appreciate your continued support for the show. And of course, continue to have a great time with you all every single week on the show. Every single week. And yeah, man, that's what we do. We have a great time. We have fun. And be sure to support your boy, patreon.com/pancakes and power slams. We're heading over to the after party, y'all. According to a patron, we're going to do some Halloween Havoc predictions. Sure, I'll do Halloween Havoc predictions for sure. But yeah, be sure to hit that sub button. Let people know about the Pancakes and Power Slam show. This is what we do, man. Triple digit people here live still. Thank y'all. Continued thanks, y'all. I continue to thank y'all. I really appreciate it. As Rollin always supports and says, good show, smash the like button. Be sure to do that, man. Liking this show is absolutely free. So be sure to do that. Boost up the algorithms if you like what you see. All these people are still here at after 1:45 a.m. Eastern time. If you're here at 1:45 in the morning, yeah, go ahead and like the show and hit that like button for sure. And share the link, y'all. As my man Manny always says every week, share the link, y'all. Be sure to share the link, and I appreciate that. So now you know more about the psychology behind boredom. What does that even mean? What's the psychology behind it, and how can we use that to redirect and evaluate ourselves when it comes to our perception and mindset of boredom? So I pray that this helped, and this will help you. That's the reason why I love sharing evergreen content in these videos, because you can always go back and talk about the dangers of Twitter or sibling rivalry or retribution. Any of that stuff, man, is good stuff for you. So that's the reason why I love doing what I do. I love doing the show, and I thank you for loving the show that I give you. So without further ado, enjoy your week of wrestling. God bless, and always remember, I do it for you. Have a good night, buddy. Shalom.